I'm assuming everything is fine. And okay, cool. So yeah, very briefly, we try to sum up a few alternatives, well, a few main reasons that pushed us to really, along with the Gutenberg and the other bits that we did last year, to really focus on this piece of functionality. The first one that really jumped into mind is, I'm sure that most of you that have been in Greenpeace for a while have seen this, which we call microsites, which are basically a bunch of individual unique web properties that were spinned all over the place. We put you a few ones over here, but you can count that as a lot of them out of the Amazon IT detox, name one, there's a lot of them. They really were pretty cool, actually, graphic-wise, sometimes. It really introducing cool new features, but unfortunately, for many reasons, tech obsolescences, deadline coming, and many others, they kind of were mostly shipped by agencies. So we noticed that there was this kind of dependency on agencies, especially 2 or 3 very strong ones, that we really noticed that global campaigns were kind of not blocked, but really dependent on this type of work with the agencies, and that's not really what we want to do. Particularly from a technology point of view, is that all the technology that were shipped within these microsites were not reusable. So like the whole point of having global share system is to actually make great innovation available to everyone to reuse in the future. Whereas with microsites, we noticed that great innovation will really only be used for this specific, usually very short lifespan of the campaign, and then drop it there, which is not really nice. Same thing goes for supporter data. In some cases, very well extracted, very well reused from the NROs, but in most of the cases, no. They were just dropped in some sort of a database, or even worse, a CSV file that then had to be shared or not used properly, let's say, which therefore didn't really bring into like marketing automation, supporter journey, and so on. Last but not least, they were really expensive. I'm not gonna go into details, but some of you know like how much expensive that was. So that was the first reason. The second, which is like a very interesting one also in this kind of climate emergency period that we live nowadays, which is that we had to come up with a solution that allows to ship campaigns in a rapid responsive situation. Think about just like the Australian bushfire as the last one that comes into mind. The idea here is to basically come up with an easy, very easy solution to export and import it in another client, for instance, and look exactly the same, just to basically allow the editor or the local person that is in charge of the site to really focus on the localization of the content, either images or text or blocks or whatever, just doing by code, by clicks, and not code. So that was the idea. We're gonna see it in a second with Gabor. The last one, which is like way super interesting for like people working in technology like myself, is that feature piloted. The great ideas that our campaigners have can then be piloted with them using a standard technology, or even the guidance of the Planet4 team. They could be then piloted by these people and according to the timelines and the deadlines that they have, and then at a later stage, including in the Planet4 core, making basically innovation scalable through to the shared platform that you use. So that was the 3 main, let's say, drivers that pushed us, and we came up with this solution that nothing else is that the new content type in Planet4. We call it Planet4 Campaign Generator, but you really can call it whatever you want. That basically allows you to ship these things, so uniquely branded pages within your Planet4 instance. This is exactly the same page using the different templates that we have natively allowing, which is Antarctic, Arctic, it's covered by climate emergency, forest, social, and a bunch of others. What it really does is that it allows you to create a page within Planet4 that has a custom logo, specific tone, fonts, colors, same blocks rendering in the same way. Think about just a slider, you can see it over here, or even form. Giving you the option to have like the full Planet4 navigation. Is not really clear over here, but Gabor will show it in a second, or a minimal navigation, really focusing on the campaign story and narrative, right? So it really allows editors to be flexible in shipping whatever they want from a campaign point of view. Again, the response from the rapid response challenge the response for that. It's been this new functionality which is called export import. It's a very, very simple XML file. Yeah, basically you get it whenever you're done in your source site. You just export the file, send it to your editor or your local NRO that takes part in the campaign, and this NRO is really allow in 2 clicks to import the source file and having even the option to either maintain the original campaign style, so I don't know, maybe this color or this other one, or just keep using the local platform default one. It's really up to the NRO to decide. Our approach over here was to give the flexibility to do it. Obviously, it creates, when imported, the system creates a draft. It's not that you import it and it's automatically published. It wouldn't make any sense. I'm gonna shut up very soon. It's one thing that is really important to mention over here is that by creating this type of content, pages, call it whatever you want, you are, editors are in fact creating an alternative user journey for visitors that are actually exploring your website to organic experience, right? So if they come from your own page or from your taxonomy, your sitemap, whatever they come, search, it really breaks the original experience because obviously it's a custom branded piece of content, right? Ideally, there should be an art direction coming and guiding the choices when it comes to fonts, colors, and so on. The platform team is not there to police the graphical realization, but maybe before doing a rainbow page, you should have some sort of a graphic designer or an art direction behind your choice for going a unique style. On the other hand, and we're going to see it in a second in a quick matrix, this type of content is interesting rather than reaching the organic users. It's interesting for new or specific audiences. You can see we just put you 2 examples very quickly that are live now, that are the Ocean Declaration, really specific for key influencers, and the COP25, which has just been released. So interesting if you do your social campaigns or email marketing landing pages, this type of case studies, that's interesting. Hopefully the guidelines that we are putting down, that the platform team is recommending, are kind of clearer in this slide. We are not going to stress a lot on the use of the take action page, which if you are a platform user, you should know what this is for. It's really like the key action component that is part of platform. However, we just thought it would be useful to put in a quick matrix where we recommend or where you should consider using the platform campaign generator along or instead of the take action page. Obviously, the platform blocks are allowed in both content type, even if they can look different in the platform campaign generator. If you have a rapid response case, let's say, you should really consider to create your content first in the campaign generator, then dispatch it to whoever is taking part in the campaign. If you want to take advantage of the full platform navigation, so the organic way of our content types, our taxonomy, and so on, you should really consider using the take action page. On the other hand, again, if you really have the need of having a uniquely branding for your campaign or a minimal navigation, consider the platform campaign generator. Basta. That was it. As a setting context somehow. I'm gonna
on the international side. So what's interesting on this are like small bits. There is a global counter which is pulling petition signups from all the participating NROs. There is like more content on the page than just the usual petition site. And of course, it has the minimal navigation and its unique branding with a minimal footer as well. So these kind of sites, are targeted mostly at, social media. We know that the traffic is mostly 70% using mobile devices. So that's why the minimal navigation is really good. There is one key engagement task on the page. There is not a lot of distractions other menu items or search or this or that. Second example is the Ocean Declaration, which has kind of demonstrates this idea of they wanted an extra feature they had some developer resources to make it happen. This is this little embedded table here. With, you can search for key influencers. You can sort. It has the options like colors. And later on, you know, once the campaign was live, we, the P4 developers, made it enter the P4 core. So now it's available for other campaigns, for other NROs to use it, which is the big value of, you know, the shared systems. Third example from an NRO, this is a Luxembourg page on their nuclear campaign. It uses the default navigation, but yeah, that's also available. I'm going to continue now with the Customiser demo. So I have a page that I found in the GPI test site. This is not live yet. This is forest campaign. Currently it has, as you look at it, it has the default Planet 4 look and feel. It has the full navigation, country selector, language selector, navigation items, donate button, search button, all that stuff. All the footer is like the full, everything is there. The content itself, it has a form, images, text, video. It has everything, call to action, buttons. And now I'm going to see what I can do with the Customiser to make it, you know, more foresty or plasticky or oily or whatever, you know, campaign I'm participating in. So I have to log in again. So I am in the backend. I go to campaigns where all these campaign pages are. I'm just going to edit this page that I'm working on. And you see that there is one new icon here. This is a little paintbrush here. It says campaign options. If I click on it, then I will see the custom options for the design. So first thing is the theme dropdown. I have 7 themes available to me and the default. So these are coming from the campaign style guides. You know, the biggest campaigns have their own style guides, which contain, you know, their logo, their fonts, colors. Usually it's a set of colors. They have graphic elements, shapes of buttons, other graphic elements. And we wanted to support, like we wanted to, you know, just make it available in Planet 4. But the key idea here is to understand that, you know, looking forward, if there is like a new campaign coming along, it's very easy to add a new theme here. So, you know, if you have a campaign, if you have a designer, if they specify, you know, their color scheme, fonts, logo, then we can put it in Planet 4 and make it available for all our NROs. So just for this demo, I'm going to switch to plastics, see how it looks on the front end. I'm refreshing the page. So you see that the buttons have changed, button colors, button shapes have changed, fonts have changed, header fonts. These graphic elements have changed, these circles coming from the plastic style guide. And that's it so far. So let's see what else is there. There is the minimal navigation. So this is the normal and this is the minimal. And this is interesting. So when you, let's check how this looks like. Just this first, just selecting the minimal navigation will remove everything else. Only leaves the Greenpeace logo. Now you can choose a color, and this is very interesting that these colors are coming from the style guide. So if I switch to forests, Then of course I will have the forest colors here. If I switch to oceans, then I will have the ocean colors here. So of course, you know, if you like switch the theme at the end, it's also at the beginning that, you know, keep in mind that, you know, you are switching other options that you can choose later. So I'm going to go with this color, see how it looks. So now it has the selected color on the header and the footer as well. We have added an option to switch the Greenpeace logo to a campaign logo. So most of our biggest campaigns have their own logo, and it's very good if you want to, you know, have a minimal, like no Greenpeace branding on your campaign. In some cases, in some campaigns, they prefer to have, you know, almost no Greenpeace branding on it. It can be, you know, if you're working in a coalition, if you're working with like audiences who don't like Greenpeace, maybe, then it might be a good idea to use like your own campaign logo. Yeah, as you can imagine, to just switch to another logo. You can change the color of the logo from light to dark, white or black. In case of the Greenpeace logo, you also have the default green of the Greenpeace logo. I am going to go with these settings now. And yeah, fonts. I think this is clear. Campaigns often have their own fonts, so you can just use what the campaign wants. Also with the body font, you have three options. One is the default Planet 4. You can go with the font that is specified in the campaign style guide. So this is the plastics body font. And then you have like an option to go serif. If you have a lot of text on the page, it's recommended to, you know, use a serif font because it's easier to read if you have to read a lot. I'm going to leave it on default. Just going to check how it looks. So now these titles are in the font that I have specified. So there is the last option here in the footer. If you, for example, pick black as the navigation color, then this footer will be just a big block of black. Maybe you don't want that, and so you have this option to basically invert from, like, the background color will be the text color. So if I choose white, then yeah, it will be inverted so that this green blue color, and now it's black because I chose black here, but you can choose like a different footer color. So if I want this green, then it will be green. And there you go. These are the customization options. Again, the most important message here is that, you know, we can support any design that you have. We can easily make it available for you. You can use just the, like, it can be as easy as just switching like to a different template theme, or you can override it. You can even, you know, fine tune it to your needs. So that's the customizer, and I'm going to, the last thing I'm going to show you is the import export. So I have built this site page, and I'm in the Africa NRO now. So I want to send it to Luca because I want this campaign to be live in Italy as well. So I'm just going to go to the back end again, and there's this little export button. I click on it. It offers me to save the XML file on my computer. So I download it. I have the file now, which contains everything is in this page. So it contains the content, the styles, the embedded, like if you have galleries, then it has all the images, it has all the videos, it has the links. So I'm just going to send it to Luca. I can send it on Skype. I can send it on email, upload it to a Google Drive folder, wherever. So I'm just going to send it on Skype to Luca, and I will stop sharing my screen, and then he can show the rest.
Yes, thanks, Gabor. I'll take over. Gabor and I did a little bit of a role play here, so you can see like a tiny snip of our Skype chat, and that's cool because I don't know. We just thought that would be a common practice in the life of everyday P4 editors or campaigners. I don't know. I saw that thing. Just give it to me. He sent me the XML file. I'm not gonna do it in Italy, Gabor, because I realized the commands are in Italian, so maybe not everyone understands. So I thought I would do it in India. Ajit, I hope it's okay. Yeah, so first things first, I am an editor or an administrator because I can import stuff. I have a command over here that I can decide whether I want to exclude the campaign style or not. So that means that I can just choose whether to import it using the layout that Gabor chose or just to do my own. I choose to respect Gabor's choice, and I go in my campaign bit and I just go import, and ideally any XML file bigger than 50 should be really not an XML file. I got this one, and very easily I go and upload. He's gonna ask me if I want to create a new user, as Gabor is the original author of all the assets, or not, or just reassign it to an existing one. I'm gonna assign it to Ajit, that is online also. That's good. I can also choose the language, which is also very nice because it works in multiple languages. So I can choose what is the original campaign content type, and obviously, by consequence, be able to translate it in the secondary language whenever I'm ready to do it. So that's fine. I'm just going to choose the primary language, which in this case is English. And it's just going to do its magic. I see your faces. I don't see it loading. It should be loading right now. And it should tell me all is good. Have fun in like a second, hopefully. And what it's technically doing is basically importing all the assets, as Gabor is saying, and creating a draft in my campaign, all campaigns. Give it a second. Give it 2. There we go. So it even tells me to have fun. So if now I go in all campaigns, or even clicking by have fun, it takes you here. That's the one that Gabor says, and I can go inside. Since I have left unchecked the settings to import all the original layout, it should look exactly the same. And have all the content that Gabor has said. What I have to do as a local editor that is really, really important not to forget is that I have to localize it. That means that, for example, this page is a form. I should have a set of form in my engaging network settings over here that are actually all my forms. And I should really connect it to my local forms because it doesn't have the connection to the local form that Gabor has used. If I don't do it, they have already 3 in the Indian side, which is these guys. See? They have 3 engaging networks form populated, already sending details to their engaging networks account, which is good. You sign a campaign at the local level, NRO gets the data. It's all automatically done. It's all done in Planet 4. If obviously you have a landing page for your email marketing currently being used, part of that. But for the Planet 4 side of the world, you should assign it to whatever that is. I mean, if this is about plastic, I should have a plastic form. I haven't created it yet. But yeah, so you import everything, even the text, so you can potentially ship it already within a minute, and it should be better, customize it to your local needs, upload your images and so on. Yeah, so it has all the blocks, the content, and yeah, that's it. And well, I'm not going to publish it, but well, I can even publish it. It's in the release site, so that's not really a big deal. Let's see. But you see, like if I have a look in preview mode, it looks exactly as the original version of that Gabor just presented to us. So that's the responsive bit. Yeah. So this is basically what it does right now. That we have already a few ideas in the future. But again, as we said before, the primary one is to iterate it along with the campaigns. Please don't focus on this unnecessarily complicated graph, because that's just an idea that the team had to basically how a campaign feature should actually end up in the Plant4 core. So at different points, at different stages, the campaign should get involved with the Plant4 team, or with the global, the digital lead of the campaign should get involved with the Plant4 team if they have an interesting idea for a new feature, or even if they want suggestions on how they should develop a feature to then make it available to the rest of the world, of the Plant4 world and the WordPress world. So that's the first bit. Today, it's the first step. Let's see where we go. Please, campaigns, work with the Plant4 team and tell us what is it that you need to successfully campaign with Plant4, with the digital property. The second, not less important aspect is to evolve with the Plant4 practitioners, which are in the end the people that will use the tool. So please, let's keep bugs coming, keep feature requests, idea push coming, and the discussion going. Because in the end, you guys are like the ultimate user of this tool. We can spend a lot of resources and development time to do the perfect tool, but if you don't use it at its full potential, we are really missing a big opportunity over here. So yeah, that's very, very important. The counterpart of the campaigners for inputs is the practitioners. Please help us doing the tool. However, we are now really starting from scratch. We have a few ideas on the next iteration of the campaigns. Well, the first one that comes into mind is basically piloting the feature, testing the Plant4 prototypes. What the prototypes told us, I don't know if you've seen it, the prototype call a few weeks ago. We tested a few prototypes that were really trying to see if new features such as follow a campaign or get a personalized challenge or a few others would be interesting for our audiences. Some of them are, some of them maybe not. The idea over here is also to pilot a few of these with the campaign generator, within the campaign generator. So that's also answering the question of Milan, what's going to happen afterwards. There will be a few bits, hopefully, that a campaign will be enthusiastic to pilot, or we just release it for the Plant4 site. Let's see where the next few months take us. And obviously, we have a few quick wins that we plan to release anyway, which is like a few features that are already live in a few microsites or in a few individual sites. I think, for example, at Germany, which is like interactive maps, scorecards, quizzes, polls, whatever comes out of the need of the global campaigns that Plant4 have to support. So yeah, this when it comes to engagement features. A few tech improvements we can see coming up in the pipelines, obviously to support global campaigns. The first one is not a functionality that will be delivered directly in Plant4 per se, but that should be supported by Plant4. I'm thinking about the vanity URLs. This is something that has to be done in Cloudflare. For multiple sets of reasons that I'm not going to describe over here. Having greenpeace.org/save the Arctic and going to the right page according to the right criteria and the right country adds a great value. So that's the one. The process that gets from like a global campaign to endpoint arrive in the right site, it's something that is not there yet, but will be. An even more flexible customizer, which Magali will tell us about in a second, the WYSIWYG, which is what you see is what you get, which is basically a real-time editor that we are going to deploy to the whole Plant4 Gutenberg interface, and it's going to be obviously available for Plant4 campaigns. Another one is multi-pages, so microsites within a Plant4 site. As you can see, like we put a quick GIF of the less is more site. Depending on the appetite of global campaigns, that's something that it's on the ideas. It's something that we can do, that Plant4 can do, and if the global campaign wants, should do. Again, keeping in mind that you create a physically separated experience from the Plant4 site. Another big improvement that will happen as soon as we have a clear direction from the group of people that are working on the digital marketing platform review, it's obviously syncing and working very well with the seamless integration of whatever comes out of that review, plus the most popular digital engagement platforms, ideally all forms and all leads collected on Client4 Campaign Generator should be easily dispatchable to every single NRO database. So that's hopefully coming very soon, at least for the most popular one. And again, whatever comes out from the global campaign requirements, if there is a specific idea that makes sense, especially in the future perspective, to make it available for other campaigns or for other Client4 sites, yes, that should be included in the next iteration of the campaign generator. Magali.
Yes, Luca, thank you. Yes, so as Luca said, this is the first iteration of the campaign generator, and we've been working on making some improvements already, but then we are also thinking about the V2, which will offer more flexibility for the Customiser option. So basically, currently we have 7 templates based on 7 style guides, which is pretty static at the moment, and we don't know yet if those style guides will remain in the future. So the idea will be to offer more flexibility with color options and more fonts, so that campaigners are able to set their own styles and everything. And also the idea is to improve the navigation system, allowing multiple pages, maybe having a country selector, a language selector, things like that. So yeah, we've been working on it, and you'll see next coming soon. That's it. And for the next slide, this is about the data, I guess.
Hi, everyone. So just as well an update regarding what we're thinking about data tracking for the campaigns. Last year, we started tracking global campaigns in the same Google Analytics property in a way that we could get all web traffic and digital engagement in the same place. But we also noticed that we had a few issues that we're trying to solve for this year. So we came up with a proposal based on 3 solutions. The first one is to enforce the use of a single value for global projects, so possibly the global project name, instead of using the previous 3-level categorization that we were using as scope, basket, and campaign. Also having a single place where NROs and campaigners could look for these standards and avoiding having like multiple documents spread across Google Drive, GreenNet, and everything. The other one is to be more responsive when adding new values to this standards list as well. So finding a way that we could integrate the tracking tools that we use, Client4 and Burlo, with OpenPro, which is the source of the global approved projects. And the last one, allowing local customization, which was something that the NROs have been requesting a lot, to be able to customize a few values in a way that the tracking is also useful for their local analysis as well. So there's also a proposal linked in the agenda, but we'll be talking more about this on the next weeks and months. Yeah, look, I think we have a few questions on the chat.